Wow, I don't even know what the heck that was. Oh, whatever that was, that hurt my ears. Hi, this is Tactical 16 Radio, and I am Silent J, and I had a knob up way too high. I think I just blew out my hearing. Ow, that hurt. That really hurt. I have no idea what the heck I just did. Hi, everybody. Ouch. My headphone volume was up too high. What was that? I had an input level for the USB up. I just blew out my damn ears. But anyway, hi, this is Tactical 16 Radio. I am Silent J. I am the host for the show, as always. Forever. I'm your host. Where's that music? Okay, let's get ready. All right, let's do this the proper way.
Five, four, three, two, one. Tactical 16 Radio.
Fire in the hole!
With Silent J.
And yes, just like my intro said, this is Tactical 16 Radio, and I am Silent J. My ears are still killing me. That hurt really, really bad. That hurt me right here on both sides of my ears. But anyway, this is Tactical 16 Radio, and I am Silent J. We're going to have a very good show for you. I have a guest that's going to be on in about 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes or so. Ed Opperman. We're going to talk about his book. We're going to talk about his radio show. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff and private investigator type stuff. I'm really looking forward to it. I've seen him on the site that I use for guests a while, and I wanted to try to find I don't know. I have a problem sometimes when I think guests are going to be really good. I wait for the perfect show, and sometimes I just drag on a little too much, and I just decided to make a decision, like, got to get Ed. So we got Ed Opperman on this evening. But before I get started with the show, if you're watching on YouTube, if you look behind my right shoulder, which I'm pointing at, see that logo right there? And then you see the logo on the left side right there? And the one on the left side is tactical16.com. Check out tactical16.com. That's 16.com. What it is, it's a website that publishes books written by veteran authors. So go to that, okay, and buy books. We also have some of our books. Well, we have all of our books at some Barnes & Nobles. You have to check your local Barnes & Nobles and see if we have our books there. If not, complain, okay? Raise some hell. Get those books there. But check out tactical16.com and the books, and also on Facebook at facebook.com/tactical16. That's tactical, the number 16, all right? And then if you look on the other side, Vets on Media. That's why I'm here. Look at it. See? Go to www.vetsonmedia.com. If you're listening to this show, chances are you made it somehow, okay? So check out vetsonmedia.com. What it is, I'll tell you what it is if you don't know what it is. But if you're listening through there, you already know what it is. So maybe I'm telling the people on YouTube what it is because maybe they just stumbled upon it on YouTube. Vetsonmedia.com is a website that airs live shows by veteran hosts or friends of veterans. You know, whether it's a girlfriend or a boyfriend or, I don't know, is there such thing as a military groupie? Not on PBR nights at the bar by post, you know? I don't know. Those are groupies of some sorts, but listen, maybe we have veteran radio groupies that want to host the show. I don't know. If you want to host the show, contact vetsonmedia.com. If you have what the radio daddies from Arizona are looking for, maybe they can get you to host the show. Okay? So if you're a veteran and you're interested in hosting a show, go to vetsonmedia.com for more information. You could also check them out on Twitter at twitter.com/vetsonradio. and Facebook at facebook.com/vetsonradio. But go to vetsonmedia.com, and you can check the listings for all the shows and all that cool stuff, write-ups from show hosts and things of that nature. We have a little bit of everything. We have a sports show. We have a women's show. Not for women. I don't know what it's for. But it's hosted by women. Okay? Not your average chicken heads. These girls are pretty cool. All right? So check out No Limits Radio with the two chicks. All right? And then check out Vets On. That's the show that's hosted by my Radio Daddies. Hey, Radio Daddies, big hug for you. That's Adam and James from Vets On, which was on this morning, on Wednesdays. So go to the listings. Find a show you'll like. You'll like a show. I guarantee it. And then there's this show, which you're listening to now, and then my other show, which is on Sunday night from 10 to midnight Eastern Standard Time. If you want to make it sound a little more digestible, it's on from 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Time. All right? Not a specific time, but Pacific Time. All right? So do that. Go to vetsonmedia.com, tactical16.com. Your life will be better. If your life's great now, you know how wonderful it's going to be after you go to those sites. All right. But anyway, I'm going to have Ed on the show in a few minutes. But before that, I want to say, if for whatever reason the show just abruptly ends, it's because there are these stupid, nasty storms where I live. My power and internet went out last night, and as well as my my DirecTV. My DirecTV went out just a little while ago from the damn storms. So if the show just stops for whatever reason, it's probably because my power went out, and if my power goes out, the internet goes out, obviously, because I have the cable modem. So what I will do is, if it does flash and go out, I'll do my damnedest to get the show back up. But I just want to let you know, stupid weather is hopefully you'll hold off a little bit. Knock on wood, whatever you want to call it. Cross your fingers, all that good stuff. Find a penny on heads today, which I didn't, so I don't know if I'll have good luck the rest of the day. But last night, I want to tell you, I was laying on the couch, minding my own damn business, watching the World Wars, that miniseries that's on the History Channel. The first night, which was Monday night, was World War I, the lead up to World War I and post-World War I. Last night was the lead up to World War II and going into World War II. I was all excited. I was watching it. I was enjoying myself, minding my own damn business, and then poof, everything goes out. There is freaking thunder and lightning everywhere. I mean, it's all around you, okay? It's noise. The lightning, it was intense. I don't know why I'm yawning. Man, I didn't sleep good last night. I knocked out my damn air conditioning, everything. Garbage everywhere outside. Our house in town got struck by lightning. Somebody else was killed, I think, by a burglar. If you're a burglar, what better time to rob a house when the power's out and there's thunder and lightning going on? You're not going to hear when you shoot the guy. I'm not making light of the fact that somebody was shot and killed last night by where I live. It's actually, I guess, an oddity around here. But still, the fact of the matter, did I just say that backwards? Oh, man. Hold on. The fact of the matter is, it was scary last night, all right? And I was at work yesterday, and the damn lightning struck right by my motor pool, okay? Scared the bejesus out of me. I saw it with my own two eyes. Actually, it was so bright that my left eye felt like I had a LED, an IED, go off in front of my, felt like I had a LED light just flash right in my eyes. So I was scared. I didn't leave work until the damn rain calmed down and the lightning calmed down. I'm up on top of a hill at work. I'm in a building that's got a stupid tin roof. I'm in a shop. So I'm like, I don't really feel like getting struck by lightning, so I'm going to stay inside until it mellows out a little bit. Then I get home. It's like a damn insane freaking... Oh, you should have seen the clouds. I don't know. I'm not a damn weatherman. I'm not Chad from CNN. I went to the store last night to go get juice boxes for my daughter's lunch because she was out. Tucked her into bed. Went to the store, got juice boxes. It was light when I left, and when I came back, behind me, which I was facing to my back, was facing east and coming from the west. I'm just south of Pittsburgh. Just this black cloud, and then there's like an orange strip in between the two. Like the sunset really got its ass kicked last night. And I'm like, holy cow, it's gonna freaking pour. It's gonna storm insanely again. So I get inside the house fast. I ran like a little bitch because I didn't want to get struck by no damn lightning. I just don't know why. I had this fear of lightning. I felt like I know what cavemen feel like or felt like. Feel like there are no more cavemen. I know what cavemen felt like because I was scared as all hell. I'm not trying to get struck by no damn lightning. So I'm in the house, minding my own business, and I'm not making fun of the lightning or at all or anything like that. And all of a sudden, the storm's just going crazy, knocks out all my power and everything like that. And I'm like, great, I can't watch TV. I don't want to go to bed because if I go to bed and the power comes back on, I'm not going to know what was on, what light was up, I'll run around the house, just hit every switch. So I'm like, I'll wait until the power goes back on, and then I'll shut everything off and go to sleep. Well, I was bored off my damn mind. I was trying to text with my sister, and the phone, the service was shoddy at best. I'm just having a horrible night. I go out to enjoy myself some tobacco, and I open up my kitchen door, and the damn rain is coming in sideways, and I'm like, where the hell did all this water come from? Like, instantly, there's a puddle where the kitchen door opens, going into the kitchen. I'm like, geez. So I go outside. It is freaking intense. Cavemen? No wonder we have characters such as Zeus, because I'm a man of the 21st century. I know what the hell's going on. I know what thunder is. I know what lightning is. I know all that stuff. I have a basic concept and understanding of how these things work, and understand if you're running around, with a metal pole in a puddle, your chances of getting struck by lightning are a lot higher than, say, somebody else. So I'm like, I'm not going outside. I don't have no damn metal pole. I'm not in a puddle. Excuse me. What the heck, I'm yawning. It's beyond me. I could get struck by lightning. I'm just looking at the lightning strikes because I'm up on a hill, and the town I live in is like, peaks and valleys. So you just see a lot of the area, and you just see lightning just freaking coming down all over the place. I mean, this shit is insane. Like, if I didn't know what was going on, I would come up with some crazy ass story about why the sky wants to kill me, because that's what it came down to last night. The sky wanted to kill me. It wanted to do great bodily harm to me. I didn't give it the opportunity, so the sky decided it was in everybody's best interest to shut off my damn TV and my lights and try to goat me into coming outside and fight this guy. I'm not going to fight the damn lightning, all right? I wasn't going out there. Didn't want any part of it. And it was insane. It was absolutely insane. I've always wondered, like, how the hell did people of the past come up with ancient mythology and ancient stories and whatever? If you don't believe in anything at all, how could somebody come up with God? Those are for they don't believe in anything at all. And if you believe in God, you got to be thinking to yourself, who pissed off God to be having stuff like this happen, because if you believe in God, God controls everything. Who irked God to where he's just slinging lightning around the South Pittsburgh metro area, just, like unadulterated fun. Just, we're gonna have fun with this. It was like a kid throwing eggs at houses on Halloween. It was just, there's no rest for the wicked. And I'm just like, I would have come up with some crazy ass shit if I didn't know what was going on. I bet there was some crackhead out there last night, just high off their rocker, just trying to rationalize what the hell was going on. I was stone cold sober. The only thing I had to drink was a fruit punch flavored coconut water. If I'm having some coconut water and I'm thinking some crazy thoughts, there's somebody with a few screws missing, or a few extra added chemical compounds in their blood system to kind of put them on the lighter side of teetering on sanity. They had to come up with some crazy ass stories last night. I woke up this morning, the fucking garbage is everywhere because it was garbage night last night. And since I live there's hills and all the streets, there's like freaking rocks, softball sized rocks, golf ball sized rocks, big rocks all over the streets, in the middle of the hills, at the bottom of the hills, like in intersections and stuff like that. So like, there's a freaking rock slide too last night. I mean, just rocks everywhere. I mean, obviously it loosened up on top, and just from the water draining, just took rocks with it. If you've ever been in the southern Pittsburgh region, a lot of hills, a lot of rocks. It was crazy last night. I just look now. If I was some weirdo that's walking out of a cave, being a caveman, or whether it be a crackhead coming out of a crack shack, and there's trees split, and there's a house on fire, and there's rocks in the middle of the road, I would have come up with some crazy ass story too, because you don't ever want to be that person that's kind of not in the know. You know what I mean? You always want to be in the in group. So if you're an outcast or an outsider of knowledge, you're gonna come up with some weird ass stories. Like if your dad doesn't know how to explain a certain thing, he'll come up with something to explain it to appease you, to get you to shut up instead of asking why all the time as a child. That's how these rumors get started. This is how these stories get started. Storms like that last night threw me for a loop, and I'm smart. I am. But enough of that. We're gonna get Ed on the line here. I'm gonna call him up via Skype right here, and we're gonna see how this see how this goes. All right, let me check something quick, because I think all I have to do is call him. We agreed that I would call him because it'd be easier, and then all of a sudden, okay. All right, I see that. Okay, there we go. All right, that's the one that ends in. Okay. I think this is it. I think this is the right number. We'll find out really fast.
Hey, Silent J, how are you?
Hey Ed, how you doing? Is this the right way to get hold of you?
Yeah, we're good, I think.
Okay, that's great. I don't know if you were listening about my crazy story last night, trying to understand why I had such a crazy storm in the Pittsburgh area last night. It was intense, to say the least. So, everybody listening out there, I said my guest, Ed Opperman. Ed, thank you for being on the show. It's a pleasure.
Mr. Silent, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
What do I call you? Silent J? What do I call you?
You know what? Silent J, but my name's Joe, but my last name has a silent J in it, and it's just been kind of a stage nickname in the Army. So Silent J, Joe, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Okay, great. Thanks.
J or Joe works just fine. And my cousin Jay, I think is a little irked that I've kind of sort of become Jay, because I think I'm stepping in on his territory. So
I got you.
But I said earlier, and then I was plugging you on our random pages for Vets on Media and Tactical 16 and on YouTube. So that you are an author and you're a show host and you are very knowledgeable in private investigations. That's what your book's about. So why don't you give the audience a quick synopsis about who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into the fun stuff.
Oh, boy. Okay. The Opperman Invest. Also, so I do all the regular stuff every PI does. I do the background checks and the asset searches, the locates, all that kind of stuff that everybody does. I don't do any kind of any of that workman's comp, surveillance kind of stuff. Criminal defense, but I'm also a digital forensic investigator. And people send us their cell phones and computer hard drives, and we can recover deleted texts and messages and pictures out of the cell phone, and then create create a report that can be used as an exhibit in court. So I do that. I wrote the book, How to Succeed as a Private Investigator. If anybody wants to get into the business, or you're already in the business and you want to learn some more, especially with my email tracing. I do a lot of cyber investigations, like email tracing, locating, identifying people from an email address. I invented a search where if you think your boyfriend's cheating on you, you give me his email address, and I could trace it back to all the online dating websites. And yeah. So that's pretty much me. And now I do the radio show Friday nights on freedomslips.com, and then we're rebroadcast on Monday nights on Awake Radio, and that's pretty much it.
Cool. Now, what made you get into that? With forensics and private investigations and all that. Was it a hobby or a passion? Growing up, or is something you bumped into? Later on in life.
Bumped into it. I was I grew up in New York City.
Okay.
And I got involved in street protests. Protesting against wars and against social injustice and civil rights and stuff like that. And I hooked up with the Yippies in New York City, Youth International Party. And around that time, I stumbled on a source in the phone company who worked in the phone company. And I could give this source an unlisted phone number, and he could return back to me a name, an address, a social security number, a bank account number, a work phone number, and also a list of every phone call made from that phone number, okay, whether it was long distance or within the local usage, like to a different exchange, but if it was in the same exchange, you couldn't get it. Anyway, this was like back around 1980.
Okay.
And yeah, this is way before identity theft or any of this kind of stuff, so no one had any clue that you could steal $1 million with it, but I soon found out. I made a name for myself with local investigators in New York City, some of the biggest investigators in the country. And also, too, with some of the biggest lawyers, the civil rights lawyers like Bill Kunstler and, Gerald Lefcourt, and all these big. And I got involved. I started working out of this PI's office in Brooklyn, and I walked in there, and I didn't have a PI license or anything, but I had this information I could buy and sell. And I met this guy. I walked into his office, and he did everything, man. He did ballistics. He was a gunsmith. He did fingerprint analysis. He did handwriting analysis. And I walked into his office, and the whole wall was covered with all the certificates and diplomas and courses and stuff he had taken. And I just said, oh, bleep. This is the coolest thing in the world, man. They got guns everywhere, got a shoulder holster on it. And he was like this old guy. He handled all these mob cases in New York City and Brooklyn and stuff like that. I said, man, this is the coolest thing. I want to have this one day. And now I do. I got the same kind of office, man. You walk into my office.
Nice.
Here it is 30, 40 years later, but I did the same thing. I got all my diplomas up all over the walls and stuff. And that's how I got into it.
That's crazy. The funny thing is, I grew up in upstate New York, and I have family that was probably on the opposite end of the spectrum of your interests when it came to downstate. I had somebody very close to me was tied up in some illicit activities, and he went away for a long time because of a private investigator. It was my dad, more or less. So.
Oh, really? Oh, no. What was he doing?
You know what? I still don't know. He wasn't my father by blood. He was my stepfather. And I think it had had to do with some drugs that were very popular with going through the port of Miami and then going
Yeah.
up to New York. And so he was actually next door neighbors in a federal prison with John Gotti for
Okay.
a short amount of time. I don't know if it was like Illinois or Indiana or Minnesota, but yeah, it was and it was partially due to a private investigator. So I've always liked the private investigators because of that, because he was the disciplinarian in the family, and I thought if I could get rid of you, then I could play baseball every day of the week. So now with private investigations and your fascination with it, and walking into an office and be like, that's what I want to do, and that's what you're doing now, that's what you have now. What made you want to write a book? Was it stories of your career, or just in particular how to hone your skills?
Yeah, that's a good question too. Yeah. See what happened. I tell you, the PI business it's amazing. You got all these retired cops and all these retired FBI agents and CIA and stuff. The IRS investigators. But these guys, you would think these would be cool guys, but they're all a bunch of washwomen. They love to gossip. They love to nitpick each other. Complain, and So I would sign up to these online news groups and these email loops, and somebody would post a question. Hey, is it possible to get somebody's name and address from an email address? And these old timers would come back and they say, nah, it's impossible. You can't get it without a subpoena. You can't. Blah, blah, blah. All this stuff. And and over, I would have to go back and say, oh no, you can do it. You can do it without a subpoena. Well, and another one too is like with asset searches. Back in a couple of, oh boy, I tell you, I'm getting so old. I guess about 15, 20 years ago, they passed a law. There used to be a way you could pretext to get people's financial information. Like I would call up your bank, right? And I would have your social security number already and your date of birth and stuff like that. And I'd say, hey man, I'm Silent J. I'm Joe. I forgot my bank statement. I can't find it anywhere. Mm-hmm. Can you fax it over to me? I'll give you all my information. Just fax it to me. And that was called pretexting. So they passed a law. You can't do that anymore. Mm. But you still can do compliant FCRA, Federal Fair Credit Reporting Act compliant asset searches. It can still be done. But a lot of these old-timers, they don't even want to get involved. There's a lot of guys in this business that are just lazy. I hate to say that, but they're just lazy. And
yeah, so, because looking at, watch, the glamorized PI, on or movies, it's like, these almost CIA-esque, operatives. And in reality, I knew one years ago, and it's like, I don't think the guy could run, 20 feet without stopping, gasping for breath. It's like, you guys look a lot better in the movies, and the cool gadget. I mean, is there that, I know obviously film and television, romanticizes everything. How much of it is reality that you see, on film and TV compared to, real life?
Well, some of it's real. If you look at a show that I like to watch is 48 Hours, like the next 48 Hours, where there's real homicide investigators investigating a case. And when you see them putting a name and an address into a database and coming back with information, that's pretty much real. Or when you see them trying to search a cell phone number and sometimes it comes back and it's no good, that's good. Some of these shows, forget it, where they like they get the guy's cell phone or his computer, and seconds later they have a link to everything he's ever done in his bank. Oh my God! And a lot of clients think you can do that, and no one can do that. I can tell you, because I have a really good relationship with the cell phone forensics. Mm-hmm. I have a really, really good relationship with the software vendors, the guy who wrote the software, and so I know what can be done, what's cutting edge. And there have been times when I've gotten new beta versions before the FBI and before the CIA. And even still, you can't get anything like that, like what you see on TV.
And it leads me to my next question. How much has technology helped you with your job compared to 1985 or 1995 or even 10 years ago compared to today?
That's a good question too, man. I tell you, last second, I tell you, really, you got great questions, man.
Thanks, man.
Back in the 80s, okay, one of the things we used to do was we would help these bail bondsmen out finding their bail jumps. Now, back in those days, people had beepers and they used payphones and stuff like that.
Yep.
But we could still trick these guys. You could catch these guys and you could trick them into revealing where the payphone was and where they were getting their beeps and stuff, and we could get in there and catch them. And so now today, when people talk about, well, tracing emails, okay, they think it's a lot of cyber technology and hacking. People think I'm hacking into computers and I'm getting people's passwords and stuff like that. But a lot of times, it's those same old techniques from the 80s that I learned back when I was a kid, from old-timers, that you can trick these guys into revealing who they are. But also, too, there's so much digital evidence that's left everywhere that if you can get your hands on it, if you can get close to it, you got a gold mine.
How much of a footprint do we leave with that? People think if you delete a file or if you delete this or eliminate your history on a computer, that then it's all gone. How much do we actually leave behind that we don't know about? The normal average person.
Okay, even without having your phone or your hard drive, you're leaving a trail out there. Okay. Once we get your phone or your hard drive, then there's an abundance of information. But now let's say we can't get your phone. Okay, let's say a husband and wife, they break up, the husband's gone, he has the phone with him, right? The wife calls him up, she says, hey man, he's a pedophile, I know he is. What we can find out is a lot of times they'll back up their phone, they'll sync it to the computer, to the family computer, to the hard drive. We can go into the computer, get those files, and even recover files that were deleted from the phone that were backed up into the computer that are still in there. So, and even if you delete it, or I'll give you a good one. Okay, one time this guy, he comes back from a bachelor party, and he's looking at his phone, he's smiling, he's laughing, right? The wife says, hey, man, I want to see that phone because I want to see what happened last night, right? He takes the phone, he starts smashing the phone on the counter. He breaks the screen on the phone, right? So she sends me the phone. We were able to recover the pictures out of that phone of him with the bachelor party dancer, right there in the act with them, what they were doing. So, even if you try and damage stuff, we can still get stuff. Deleting stuff, as long as it hasn't been overwritten, you're good. But basically, you want to get me the phone right away. You want to get me the hard drive right away. The less activity on the phone or hard drive between the time the suspect has been using it to the time he can get it to me, the better.
Oh, okay. Going along with your job, has it been easier for you now? Obviously, when you hone your skills and hone your crafts, things become easier. But compared to back when you first started, what era do you like? I'm not trying to date you in terms of your age or anything like that, but technology has taken a huge leap within the last 5 years. What do you prefer? Like that old grittier, you gotta follow somebody, or landlines, to today where you basically leave a footprint, with your smartphone?
That's a good question, too. I was never one to follow people. I've never done surveillance myself. I've taken the classes. I could do it if I really had to, and I have the instincts, Starting out in the business, like I said, I went to work out of that PI's office in Brooklyn, and he did a lot of organized crime cases. So we did defense work for some big cases, like the Pizza Connection trial and the Commission trial with the Castellano and stuff. And what we did back then in his office was we would get copies of the FBI surveillance wiretaps, and we would listen to the transcripts, and the FBI would say, okay, they would have their transcript, and it says, well, the guy said he's going to go break his legs. And then we would listen to the tape and say, oh, no, he didn't say he's going to break his legs. He said he's going to cook him some eggs, And then you go to court, you fight over what was said, And we also did a lot of counter surveillance where we would go and do bug sweeps and stuff like that. So there was some technology back in those days too.
Yep.
Now, then in between too, I had a whole stint where we did nothing but employment screening. We did background checks, pre-employment screening, and that was a nice, easy gig. But now, I'm back, hustling, and we're doing the cell phone forensics and the computer forensics, the email tracing. I enjoy what I'm doing right now because it
sounds safer. It sounds a little bit safer. Seeing if somebody's spouse is cheating on them, comparatively speaking, to mob activity in New York. It seems a little bit safer.
You know what? You think so? I never even crossed my mind to tell you that. But you're right. I can remember this one guy that was on his way to prison. He got convicted of murder, and Thomas Puccio was his lawyer, and he got a great deal too. He got like 15 years, and but he was pissed off because we didn't find the bugs in his house that we had promised we could find for him. And right before, on his way to prison, he stopped off at the office to kind of yell at us. So you never know what could happen in a situation like that. But even today, though, I tell you. I see a lot, even with all the criminals, career criminals, professional type criminals I've dealt with over the years, big drug smugglers and big criminal defendants and stuff. Some of the people I see nowadays that I'm peering into their secret life, their online misbehavior, their cyber stalking misbehavior, their sexual. No, I tell you, it's really not funny because some of these guys are really nuts. And
oh yeah, I believe you.
Yeah, and you get a glimpse into their secret fantasy life. And you would not believe what is going on in some people's heads. You just would not believe it. And that's why when I read this Elliot Rogers, I read his, they call it the Manifesto, but his online biography.
Yep.
This guy just shot up all those people in Santa Barbara. When I read that, it was just so familiar to me. I've read that kind of stuff before. And I think back to a guy we had in Florida who was so obsessed with this waitress in a restaurant. And he was going through a divorce, and his ex-wife hired us. And we got a hold of all his online activity and his writings and his blogs. And this guy was just obsessed with this woman, this young woman, too, this young girl who was a waitress, and had every detail about her, where she lived, where she worked, her boyfriend's name, her parents' names, everything. So you see a lot of stuff like that. And it's kind of disturbing because you're dealing with sick people instead of just professional criminals.
Yeah, that's along with that, like, since you kind of see, like the darker side of people, like you said, the sicker side of people, the freakier side of people, has it kind of tainted you at all in terms of people in general, society in general, or do you kind of like, have you learned how to separate that?
Yeah, I like to think that it hasn't. It does open my mind to the idea that when I'm walking through the street, that the people have weird things going on in their minds. And sometimes, that does kind of occur to you. And when you're dealing with somebody and you see they're having a rough day, you kind of think like, let me give them a little space. But my life in general, I go to church, I coach basketball, I do my little radio show, I joke around, and some of my investigations are really intense, and the stuff we do on the radio show. Satanic cults, I was just invited to go down to New York City. I couldn't go because we couldn't finance it. We couldn't fund the whole thing. But I was invited to go down to New York City by Maury Terry, the author of The Ultimate Evil, and Dale Griffiths, who was the occult investigator at the West Memphis 3 trial.
Okay.
Yeah, you heard of these guys,
Oh,
right?
yeah. I'm fascinated with that case.
Oh yeah, have you had on Mayor Jim Rothstein?
No, I haven't. I have never interviewed or talked to anybody that was ever involved in that case. But that was just fascinating. It's I don't know. It's heartbreaking all around. I believe that those guys were innocent. It's heartbreaking that they spent so many years in prison, and then you look at the same fact that they're still possibly could be a murderer, running around out there, for a crime that was never solved.
The West Memphis 3?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
don't feel bad even a little bit. Let me tell you something. At the very first, I thought they were innocent as well.
Yeah.
And this is years and years ago, man. I'm talking about like 1996, 1997. Yeah. And I got in touch with the Defense Fund and the Awareness Fund and the people in charge of that whole thing. And I am totally convinced that everybody, by the way, at the top of that defense fund knows that they're guilty. These guys have confessed over and over. They confessed, this guy, Jesse Miskelly, while he was in prison, confessed to his girlfriend. He had a girlfriend named True Romance, it was her online name, and she used to donate $900 a month to the defense fund. And he confessed to her that he was guilty and the 3 guys were guilty. This is after they were in prison. There was no doubt in my mind these guys are guilty. Now that they're out, this chief one, Damien Eccles, is spotted all over the place with these members of this Process Church cult. That was the same cult that was behind the Son of Sam killings and a lot of other stuff. Yeah.
Going back to New York, with the you said dealing with investigations and whatnot with the mafia. growing up in upstate New York and hearing stories from, my older family, it's like it seemed like anybody that was Italian in the state of New York had a connection, one way or another. And it was romanticized on that part. You see the movies like Goodfellas and, Casino and The Godfather and stuff like that. And especially in the Northeast, like, New York, Philly, Boston, people love the mafia, at least the film version, of the mafia. Now, you seeing, the truth, the actual, crimes that were committed and dealings with what you had to deal with. How much did they get it right on film? Like, it just seems, understandably so that they were ruthless, but how much did we not know as regular citizens that you got to see being in that world?
Yeah, I owned a nightclub in New York, so I was also at the other end of these guys
Okay.
when they came in and shook me down, and these were guys who were friends of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up with these guys. You got to check out the first couple of chapters of my book. I talk about all this growing up in Staten Island, where I grew up. My friends' fathers and their uncles were in the paper. Big names. And one thing I found out over the years is, first of all, this whole thing about omerta. The code of silence.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't exist whatsoever. These guys are all rats. They rat out their own friends. They routinely, the FBI will come around in a car, and they take them in the car, and they drive around. They have free talks with each other, where they give up people and information and stuff. So that's a fact. And you see it now. Even all these guys I don't see anybody getting hit for being a rat anymore.
Who was the mobster who used to walk around used to act like he was crazy?
Yeah, that was I don't know, I get myself in trouble there, but that was you can look it up, Vincent the Chin Gigante.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, I think his nickname was a body part. That guy, I've read about that guy. Fascinating. If nobody's ever heard of him, you should check him out. Interesting character, to say the least. I'd prefer to would have always wanted to stay on his good side.
I wish I would have too.
Yeah. You're actually the second guest in a row that I've had from Staten Island. I had a comedian and a podcaster on from Staten Island last week. So,
what's his name?
He's on he's Matt from the Matt and Steve Show.
Yeah.
He's through the same site that I found you on Radio Guest List. They have a show. So, 2 for 2 for the forgotten borough of Staten Island.
Well, you were talking about the Vincent the Chin Gigante. That whole crew, his bunch, were the guys that Al Sharpton was involved in. I don't know if you just saw recently how it came out that Al Sharpton was an FBI informant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he was walking around with that briefcase. I knew Al Sharpton. I knew Al Sharpton very, very well when I was involved in protests. I protested alongside Al Sharpton.
Really?
Oh, yeah, man. Let me tell you something. If you met Al Sharpton in person, you'd like him. He's a likable guy, whether you like his politics or whatever. And his politics have changed, in my opinion, back from when I knew him back in the 80s. He was a cool guy, Christian guy who would quote the Bible to you as he's talking to you, likable, personable, and really had a good heart in the right place. And I'm sure I'm on those tapes, too, by the way. I'm sure he taped me as well. But I tell you something, man, what the Al Sharpton you see now with this TV show and even when he ran for president, his presidential campaign, there's a great series of articles in the Village Voice, you can find them online, that talks about how his whole campaign was run by right-wing dirty tricksters that have links back to the Nixon White House. So this guy's bought and paid for, man.
That's what made it so fascinating, because I said he was the most fascinating individual running for president at the time. I think he was one of the coolest guests on the Morton Downey Jr. show. That's where I was first introduced to him as a youngster, seeing the fat Al Sharpton with a great head of hair. Now
and the Guido tuxedo,
yep.
The big gold chain on his neck,
I tell you what, there's if you check out the Morton Downey Jr. documentary. I forgot what it's called, but I think it's like on Netflix and stuff like that, and Amazon. Watch it; you'll love it, especially growing up around that time period, that time frame in New York. It talks about Morton Downey Jr. and it highlights a lot about Al Sharpton, and I've watched it, and then I saw his his show on TV the following day. I'm like, wow, I kind of liked you better as the fat guy. I don't know if I like him too much anymore. I definitely don't like his politics anymore. But I think the Al Sharpton that was walking around with a briefcase, you know, holding it right next to everybody's face, I think I would have liked a little bit more.
Yeah.
How could a guy like that? How could a guy like that though? That's obviously, you know, for right or wrong reasons, has made enemies, you know, on so many different sides. Whether you just don't like him on TV or whether you had some raw dealings with him, I don't know him. I'm not going to say anything bad about him. But how could somebody like that obviously was a polarizing figure from that era up until today, seem to be fine and just gets better? You know, just seems to become a little more wealthier, a little more popular, a little more mainstream as the years go on.
Yeah, well, it looks to me like they caught him. You know, he is an interesting guy. You know, because he also was part of a Michael Jackson tour. It was the tour that was run by Don King and also Frances, one of the Frances brothers. I always forget which one, Michael Frances or the other one. One of those mobsters that actually testified against his own father. And so he's involved in all that kind of stuff. And then there was some undercover FBI video of him trying to do a coke deal. And then it seems like once they get something on you, they make you an informant, and you can pretty much dance between the raindrops for the rest of your life. You know, they got you on the hook, and they kind of let you do whatever you want. I've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, this story is of Al Sharpton, you know, not paying his tax for like 20, 30 years. Rent, Citizens at Work or the Youth Action Network. He had these different action networks all the time, headquarters back in New York, and not paying the rent on his office for years and years and years, and the landlord was afraid of him. Wouldn't be afraid to ask for the rent, you know? So how you get to that point and you get away with it, and they're letting you run for president, they're putting you on MSNBC, I don't know. I can't tell you that, but I've seen it before, and I've seen guys buy their way out of big cases and big drug cases where they're caught on tape, all kinds of stuff.
Well, what is somebody since you were in New York for that fun time, not the Disney times as they are now. It seems like, you know, when when the only good day for Times Square was New Year's Eve, and then the other 364 days were like porn shops and everything else. My first peep booth that I ever went to was not too far from Times Square, where you put the coins in and the windows slide up. And you leave with sticky shoes. Those places were gross, but lovely. Now there's a TGI Fridays there, and there's some family from Nebraska eating to where, you know, some 50-year-old lady was you know, getting, I don't know, a quarter on the dollar for a window to open. But growing up in that time area and working as a PI then, what is your favorite moment from when you first started in New York?
Oh boy, I don't know, man. It's hard to say.
Whether it's a case or just an individual, you know, you don't. Maybe it's just you know, a figure, somebody who's like, it was like larger than life, you know, or.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Okay, yeah, that's good. I'll tell you. There was a certain time after because I was in a nightclub in Manhattan as well. And right around that time, I met Bo Dietl, you know, who's the big famous PI, you know, he's friends with Imus. He goes on Imus all the time. And as a matter of fact, people used to think that we were brothers because we used to look alike. We both had a beard. We were both kind of, you know, little tough guys. You know, we used to arm wrestle. You know, we used to hang out at the Doral Land across the street from the. And this is before he was big and famous. His first book was just coming out. They hadn't done the movie or anything. And Giuliani, Mayor Giuliani, I had met him during those, because he was the prosecutor in those cases, you know, and he was like a real prick, you know. He was like a nasty guy. He was nasty to me for no reason, because I was a young guy helping out on these cases. I was of no significance, you know. I thought I was. I thought I was on these jobs because I was a genius, you know. But I was just some young guy that could carry around the boxes full of paperwork, you know, in and out of the courtroom. But when I met Giuliani as he was running for a mayor the first time. And, you know, hung out there, you know, with the little planning sessions and stuff like that we used to have down at the Doral and stuff like that. And I think that to me was kind of my kind of Goodfellas time. You know, like when things were flat, you know, limousine and stuff like that. I used to own one of those horse and carriages that goes around Central Park.
Really?
Yeah. I wound up with one of those, yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about that? There's upward now a couple celebrities. Is it Liam Neeson or somebody? They're trying to get the carriages banned around Central Park. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I knew the guy who was the president of the Horse and Carriage Association, and that's who I got my horse from.
Mhm.
The horses are treated fine. They're happy horses, just like any horses you'd find out on a farm someplace like that. And I think it's a New York City institution, especially in the park. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever.
Right.
And the horses have been doing it for thousands of years. So I don't know. But then again, I don't know what the traffic. I haven't been to New York City in years. So I don't know what the traffic conditions are and things like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's the last time I had to drive through New York City traffic, I had a military tractor trailer that I had to go from where the hell was it? I crossed the border over, not the GW. I forgot which way I came in from. I had to go to Fort Todd, so in Bayside, and I got off the wrong exit or something, and I basically drove an Army tractor trailer through Chinatown. And I tell you what, the driving then, and that was like maybe 7 years ago, was insane. I think I managed to piss off about 40,000 people that day, or 40,000 vehicles that day. It was a huge mistake.
But what are they gonna do? You got a tank with you, right?
I don't know what I forgot what I had on the back of it. I was transporting some piece of equipment, and I just remember driving, and I was like, how the hell did my path take me here in life? Like right now, I got some guy, some old Chinese shop owner, just screaming his head off at me, and I don't know anything he's saying. I just was smiling and waving. I'm like, I gotta get through. So all these cars are gonna have to somehow magically move during rush hour of New York City traffic. It was an insane moment in New York City traffic, if for me. So there's been other times where it's like, I love driving through New York. No, not so much. I think my patience for stuff like that has gone way down. So, but now with you, what made you move out of New York? You're in
Nevada.
Nevada now. What made you move out to Nevada?
Well, I got sick of New York. I got sick of New York and the traffic and the tickets, getting tickets all the time, and getting my car towed because of those tickets. I just got fed up, and Giuliani and all his taxes and stuff like that. They had crazy taxes on businesses back in New York, and so I teamed up with my partner, who comes from a famous New York City cop family. His father arrested Nicky Barnes, the big heroin kingpin.
Yep.
And my partner was NYPD Harbor Aviation. He was a helicopter and scuba cop.
Okay.
So we hooked up together and we started a company to do criminal employment screening. So we set up that company. We set it up in Colorado. First we set it up in Denver, Colorado. Then we moved it over to Colorado Springs, and we set up a little office over there because it was just so the taxes and the payroll was all so inexpensive. So we set up over there. But we had a contract with UPS to do all their employment screening. It was a huge contract.
Mm-hmm.
When we lost the contract, I was kind of floating around. I loved Vegas. I had a girlfriend out here back in the 80s, so I said, let me go to Vegas. I love the desert. I came out here, and that was when, it was right after these guys were working for civilian contractors working for the U.S. military in Afghanistan searching for bin Laden for around 2003. And they were the ones who were cloning those satellite phones and stuff down. They're chasing down bin Laden. So they were released from their duties, and they had the software to do cell phone forensics that they had written themselves. They owned it, and I hooked up with them, and I said, hey, this is something great. No one's doing this, and I can use it to track down, to use it for infidelity investigations. No one even thought of it, Nice. I can catch people cheating doing this.
You use this technology for international terrorists. I'll use this technology for, husbands that like different lunch breaks.
Yeah, there you go, man. Because I'm looking to market, and so yeah, that's how I branched out like that. I wound up here in Nevada.
Nice. So, do you have an office in Colorado Springs anymore?
Yeah, we're still in Colorado Springs.
Okay, that's where the name Tactical 16 Radio. Tactical 16 are publishing companies based out of Colorado Springs.
Oh, very
So
cool.
yeah, we that's one area I might move to in a few years. I don't know. After seeing the hailstorm that they had a week or two ago,
And the floods a couple of years ago, yeah.
yeah, I'm thinking more of maybe Phoenix, the Phoenix Mesa area. I'm like, no, they don't. I don't think they get as much snow and hail in Phoenix as they do in Colorado Springs. So, um, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I like the desert a little bit more. You know, weird things about going to Iraq and coming back. You kind of start to enjoy
Right.
the weather over there. It's like the upside of the Middle East, not as much weather. Um, now going with the technology you brought up, which I didn't even know, like, so you had these super top secret type squirrels with this technology, you using it for international terrorists, and you had a brainstorm of I could use this for infidelity cases. Um, how easy or how hard is that to, did you have to get permission for that technology, or how does something like that go when, you have something, I don't know, I guess top secret, and then you want to use it for, like civilian type,
No, no, not top
issues.
secret at all, because at the time they were using it. They were selling it to law enforcement.
Oh,
They were
really?
selling
Okay.
it to private investigators, and but for murder trials,
Oh, okay.
and for drug trials and drug cases, all for court, you know. And I said, hey, I do that too. I've done some.
That's fascinating. Wow, where was this technology a handful of years ago when I needed it? I was just
Phone.
I was just the dope trying to use the figure out a 4-digit code day in and day out.
Yeah, I hear you.
With technology, have you found it in general, people that commit infidelity, are they smarter or are people just as dumb when they want to do something like that? I mean, technology, I guess, has made it easier, but also in a ways made it harder.
Okay, good one. I invented that search, like I was telling you about how I can chase and no idea how many times the email address that I'm hired to investigate has DHS,
Nice.
Department of Homeland Security. Yeah, okay, people in top positions using their work email to register on Plenty of Fish and to register on Match.com to cheat on their wife. General Petraeus, right? He was cheating on his wife.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna say when the top spook in the country, the top spy in the country, gets busted for cheating, it's basically impossible. When the spy of spies gets busted doing something, it's like, man, they could catch anybody.
you know how they were doing it? You know how they were doing it? He and his girlfriend, they created an email address, right? Let's call it the silentj at gmail.com. And you and me want to communicate with each other, right?
Uh-huh.
We both have the password. We never once actually send an email to each other. We write the email, you leave it in the draft box. When you go in and you log in, see it, you respond back to us, I delete it. That's how they were communicating back and forth. Now that's
How could you catch somebody
level.
like that? Because that's pretty intelligent. It seems like a smart idea. How would you get caught doing something like that?
Okay, you can do it, man. You can do it because people.
'Cause listeners on both sides.
You use that
Oh,
yeah,
did we
of
lose
course
it?
you do.
Oh, we
But,
lost you for a
I mean,
second.
You'll
Okay.
When I missed you, what was that last thing?
We lost you for a second. I didn't hear what you said for the last 5 seconds. You're better now.
Yeah, I missed you. So yeah, use it on PayPal or Amazon.com and use it in reality.
Hmm.
You can find it because you can do a search, a forensic search of somebody's. That's put all the email addresses that have ever been used or on that page. You can find it also too with a subpoena of.
Ooh, did we? Oh, Ed, you back?
Oh, I wonder if I lost you.
Completely stopped and restarted. I see the counter on the call time. So yeah, we lost you for completely dropped you. Now you're back, and I think Ed's gone again. Let's see. Ed, we got you back? Man, I tell you, this weather out here.
Hey, you there?
Oh, yep, we got you. Insane. That's why I lost power last night. So just, damn it. We lose that again. I like Ed. Ed, you there?
Hey, you there?
Yeah. Okay, you got you? I think he. I hope he can hear me. Man, I wanted to ask him more. I wanted to ask him about his book now. Well, listen, I'm gonna call Ed back while I'm talking. Oh, or Ed's gonna call back. Ed, do we got you? Oh, boo. Oh, what the heck's going on? Okay. All right. I gotta better. All right. This is what we're gonna do. While I'm talking, where is it? Bear with me, everybody. Well, that's some fascinating stories so far. I didn't know you can do all that stuff. Okay, okay, I think we're gonna get Ed back. Okay, it's ringing.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, Ed, how you doing?
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hello?
Ed, can you hear me? Ed, can you hear me? No? This is becoming a bit annoying. Hey, Ed, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now, yeah.
Okay, sounds way better. I don't know what happened there. I was saying that we had some pretty bad storms last night, so I think they're brewing up again, so maybe that's what's going on. Before I lose you again, I want to hear about your book. And
okay.
For one, how can people get a hold of it and buy a copy? I know. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay.
How can people buy a copy of the book?
Yes.
Amazon.com. It's called How to Succeed as a Private Investigator, a Step-by-Step Guide to a Career in Investigations by Ed Opperman.
Nice. And because I'm in the middle of writing a book, I'm always interested in talking to an author. What made you want to write the book, and was it naturally for you? Was it painstaking? Take the process of you actually writing the book.
Well, you know what happened? I had written before the book, so I got into the habit of writing, and I was transferring a lot of those articles over to my blogs. I got a whole bunch of blogs. My main one right now is pretty much radio show stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I hired a co-writer to come in and put all that together, and so many new things that we could add to it. And then we were able to put the book.
And so you said you wrote a bunch of articles, and it became easy, became natural. Were there hiccups? Was there anything that possibly didn't translate from your thoughts or imagination on it? Did you get like writer's block or a hard time like transition something to a book story?
Oh yeah. Oh, even writing the articles, when you have like a writer's block type,
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I want to do a book about the John Lennon assassination, and I got so much information on that, and so many, if you saw my bio, I met Mark David Chapman in New York City that weekend.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm interviewing May Pang. I got May Pang coming up at the end of September. I'm hoping that thing's up by the end of September or October and get it up on Amazon.
How was uh I think oh this is oh this sucks. Skype. No. Okay. I got you. Mm. All right. Okay.
You
Well,
there?
yep. You can't hear me, can you? Damn it. What the heck is going on? I tell you. We're going to try. Man. Mm. Hey, Ed. Ain't this a bitch? I wonder what the problem is. It's really starting to annoy me now, listening. Thanks for bearing with me. We'll try him on. We'll try Ed on his line that he sent me. We'll see if this works.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Ed, can you hear me now?
Yeah. That was getting.
It's that it has to be the weather. I've never had a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
Never had a problem. It's until now. The one interview I'm really enjoying is the one that's having the most technological problems with. But what I was saying was, how was it meeting the man that shot John? And I know my father, for example, is a huge Lennon fan. It's still heartbreaking to him that he was killed. And Lennon was such a captivating figure. I mean, for millions and millions of people. Now, how was it meeting the person that it ended his life?
Okay, you know what? Yeah, when it first happened, I was a kid. I was a senior in high school.
Yep.
And I was down there at Yippie headquarters, and Chapman just happened to be down there that day. We don't know what he was doing. He had some kind of story that he had some tapes he wanted to give to Aaron Kay, who was one of the Yippies at the time. And he had this big giant duffel bag. He kept reaching into the duffel bag and saying he had tapes in there, but he never came out with any tapes. He finally freaked everybody out. And everybody left and left me alone there with this guy. And finally, I kicked him out. But I didn't know he was an assassin that day. I didn't know he was going to kill.
Right.
So Yippies, they said, hey, man, just don't say nothing. We don't need any heat coming down on us. We don't need the attention. We don't need any problems.
Right.
Just don't say nothing. So we kind of, but it haunted me, dude. It haunted me. Like I'm telling you, and it's contacting. I went to the library one day. It was before the internet. I went to the library and I got all the books I could find on John Lennon, and I found a book about the assassination by Tim Bressler, who England. And so I started writing letters. I wrote letters all to what I know. And I talked to a couple of people, but I wasn't a researcher back then in those days. And it wasn't until the internet came around that I started contacting people and telling them my version. One thing I found is, but it haunted me. It haunted me because we had problems with other people who came into Yippie headquarters, and we just kicked them out. And we probably done it with this guy.
That's I mean, just what are the chances? What are the chances that happening on that day with that person?
Well, he was in New York. He was running around. There were connections between Yippie headquarters and John Lennon. There's a lot of them. As a matter of fact, the cops, the FBI unit that was tailing John Lennon, that were tailing David Peel, who was one of the famous Yippies.
Yep.
They looked similar to each other, and they thought that Peel was Lennon, and they were following him around. So to the different people, Yippie Headquarters and John Lennon. Across the street was AJ, the guy who wrote the book Coup d'etat in America, and he was friends with Lennon and Yoko and hung out apartment with them. So and these guys, there were no connection with me and Lennon, except for that.
Still wears John Lennon T-shirts and Beatles T-shirts.
I think I'm gonna watch it. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay, I was gonna say, I think if my dad found out that you knew John Lennon, he would this would be the first show he would learn how to use the internet to listen to, because he still rocks John Lennon T-shirts and Beatles T-shirts. You know, he was a guy that age, probably the same age as you. He was a senior. Well,
if you go back and look up some of my old shows on YouTube, if you just a whole bunch of shows I did on the Lennon with a lot of people. A guy, Rod Harrell, who did this fascinating documentary about it, and there's all kinds of stuff he picked up by counting the bullet holes in the walls in front of the Dakota, and they don't match Chapman had because there were too many bullets. Too many bullet holes, you know. So the information up there, I had a lot of fun, and so I definitely have a book.
I don't remember. I don't know. It doesn't strike me. Oh yeah, JFK.
Yeah, I got no audio at all.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I heard you then. Yeah.
Okay. I was saying, like, we heard other stories where the bullets and the holes and everything doesn't match up. I think it's this out of general interest in the JFK assassination. What did they get right and wrong?
For the JFK assassination?
Did I? God damn it!
Yeah, I'm losing you real bad. But if you can hear Rothstein, he's a mayor up in Minnesota right now, and he went at the church. Rothstein, the NYPD detective, retired, as we know a lot of the same people. So just where his heart is, where his accuracy is. Now, just by coincidence, it just so happens, he arrested Frank Sturgis, the Watergate burglar.
Oh, okay.
He arrested Frank. Yeah. You familiar with that story?
Love historical cases.
Frank Sturgis in New York City when Sturgis was on his way to assassinate Maritza in a not-so-friendly way, and Sturgis confessed to him that he was one of the shooters in JFK.
Wow.
And out of all the people I've been conspiracy theories, with and spoken about JFK with for hours is Alan Colmes.
Really?
From Fox and Friends.
Really?
Yeah. Alan, what's that?
Wow. Yeah.
Quick, Alan Colmes used to be a stand-up comedian in New York City back in the old days, okay?
No shit.
And he at Pips Comedy Club at Sheepshead Bay. And he used to be the MC over there. I used to do a little stand-up comedy, too, back in those days. But Alan Colmes is an encyclopedia on the JFK assassination. And I don't think I've ever talked to anybody, talked to now, authors and stuff like that. I don't think I've ever met anybody that knew more about the JFK assassination than Alan Colmes.
It's really interesting. I'm obsessed with conspiracy theories. The show I do on
I'm trying to go back and visit every conspiracy in history. Like I just had David Kahn, who wrote a couple of books about it, and he knew Jim Jones way back before anybody knew Jim Jones was going to go down and kill 900 people. And I had him on my show for 2 hours, and then we had him on an after show where we talked to him, in a more comfortable setting when we weren't live on the air. We just taped it. It's on YouTube. And years and years and years, he's always had the opinion that Jim Jones was just a charismatic guy as a cult leader who tricked all these people into committing suicide. But we had him on the phone for 2 hours, and then I had him on the phone. It had to be some kind of a CIA, MK Ultra kind of deal going on down there with Jim Jones. What's going on for it to be just you run-of-the-mill charismatic preacher?
Yeah, I know somebody who her family was involved with Jim Jones's church before he went to Guyana. So
yeah, he was involved with that church.
They kind of said, no, we're not going to move, and I think they were able to get out of it while the getting was good before that eventful trip down to Guyana.
Well, you know, there's so many fascinating things because Jim Jones had so much political clout there in San Francisco that he was actually able to get the foster care system to get children in his foster care. He adopted, you know, and he was getting foster care for these kids. He was getting jobs for people. He got a job for O.J. Simpson's mother in one of the mental institutions that he used to run with he used to get jobs. He built the whole place and he was in charge of getting all their jobs. Fascinating case, the whole Jim Jones thing. I got a guest coming on this weekend, Russ Kyle. He's going to be coming on this Friday, who does, he has a limo driver. He does a tour of all kind of a fascinating event places in the Bay Area, you know, about Patty Hearst and the SLA and Jim Jones and the People's Temple and all that kind of stuff, the Zebra Killers, Charlie Manson, everything.
That's that. Definitely fascinating. The show I did Sunday night with my co-host, if you're into conspiracies and different stuff, have you ever heard of Operation Paperclip?
Oh, sure, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, they brought all the Nazis from, after World War II, and they brought them into NASA, sure.
Okay, you know what? You're going to be perfect if you ever want to do a Sunday night show. My co-host, he's a former Green Beret, and we can just talk conspiracies all day long. And just really fascinated. I don't know if you remember the Nazi bell, the Die Glocke, the supposed time machine. Where I live isn't too far from, I guess, there was a UFO crash supposedly back in the late 60s, early 70s, I believe, and reports saying it was the Nazi bell that skipped through time and crashed in the woods of Pennsylvania, outside of Pittsburgh. So I'm not far from that crash site, and I've always wanted to go there. I'm sure there's nothing there, but maybe.
Oh yeah, you should go.
Watch, I'm gonna go there, and the day I go there, the portal's gonna open. I'm gonna be so fascinated. Hopefully, I have a recorder on me, so that'll make for a very good show. But going into your show, your radio show, the Oppenheim Report. What made you want to do a radio show, and what are some of the joys you get out of that? You know, besides like you're an author, you're a writer, you do PI work, but the radio side of things, what do you enjoy out of it, and how did you get into it?
Okay, I'll tell you, I did some stand-up and stuff like that, but I really did develop like a fear of public speaking, and I didn't like drawing attention to myself. So I really did keep a low profile for many, many years. Mm-hmm. I got involved in some really big high-profile cases, like the Tiger Woods case. I did all the cell phone forensics in the Tiger Woods case. And then after that was Ashton Kutcher. I know that his mistress, Brittany Jones, sent me the phone to prove that he was dating her. Mm-hmm. And that involved in that Charlie Sheen case where my client was Capri Anderson, the girl that he had kidnapped and held prisoner there in the Plaza Hotel in New York City when he was naked and covered in blood when the police showed up. And why isn't that on the news? So I was involved in these really, really big 7 stories where the police were literally breaking down my door. And then I got involved with Palin and Todd Palin and a congressional investigation to the Secret Service. And they were, I don't know who was doing it. Those people were breaking into my office, into my home, and stealing things and spying, going through my mail. So I was asked quite a bit, and not paparazzi, and I started doing just to promote my site, to promote my business, my email.com site. And so as I was beginning to start talking about these different stories and things I knew about, like the Lennon assassination or, O.J. Simpson file, things I've searched in the past. So I wanted to create an arc on, I want one show a week about major history cases, like the West Memphis Three. I knew information was involved. A record, and create a YouTube archive where people could went on up like I go back about that, go listen to the show I did about it on the Opera Report YouTube page. That's it. But now I'm loving doing the show. I like to talk. Getting to meet some of the most fascinating people in history. I got Courtney Love's father coming on. Hey,
Yeah, I
great amazing guy.
Yeah, you meet some cool people, and then I think page that we connected with on Facebook, I saw that we have a mutual friend. I'm like, how the hell do we have a mutual friend? I looked them up. Somebody that you're friends with, I had her on the show, my old show, a few times. Valerie, she was a VIP dancer, and I think she's an author now, and she has a TV show in Vegas, I believe.
Who's that? What's her name?
Valerie Amber.
I break and
I believe her name's Val. Valerie. She was she worked in a Vegas strip club, and strip club, and then I think she wrote a book, and now I think she's on a TV show now. And then I lose you, Ed. God damn. You with me? Nope. Man, that's so fascinating. He doesn't like me. Either that or this is what I get for making fun of lightning. I don't know. Can you hear me? No. I don't want to say, are you there?
Very, very badly. Very badly.
Okay. Can you hear me now? I hate saying that. Okay. Yeah.
I can hear you now, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Valerie Amber. She worked at a Vegas strip club a long time ago, or a while ago. I had her on the show a couple times. Turns out that's a mutual friend we have, but I think she hosts a TV show in Vegas now, and she wrote a book. She's really cool. Really, really cool girl.
Well, I'll have her on, man. I didn't know she had a story. I thought she was just one of my Facebook friends. You get so many. People just kind of slip in there,
Yeah,
remember where they came from.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. I try to get it out of her because she goes, yeah, I know some dirt on some high-profile Hollywood elites, and I'm like, who? She goes, I can't say. I'm like, oh man. So I guess there's adult entertainment, like HIPAA laws, like there are with doctors. So. But what's the one person that oh, okay. Sorry,
one thing I experienced, and talking about these high-profile cases, one thing I experienced is that these Hollywood press agents and these big entertainment lawyers, they got some kind of power, man. They can shut down a story with a flip of a switch. My Sarah Palin story, it's out there. You can look up the book. My client's name is Shirley Tripp, and she wrote a book. It's called Boys Will Be Boys, the story of Shirley Tripp and Sarah Palin. And you can find it on Amazon, but the story is like silent.
Right.
And even with the Tiger Woods thing and the Charlie Sheen thing, there would be days when in the morning I'd get a phone call, 5 o'clock in the morning. Ed, we found this out. You got to find this out for us. This. It's going to be a big story. It's going to be a big story. But by the end of the night, the lawyers involved, and the thing is it's shut down, silenced.
Yeah, on my other show we talked about like the conspiracy with Scientology and like Tom Cruise and John Travolta and accusations of their sexual preferences and stuff like that. But it's like and that's the thing. It's like you hear about it for a little bit, when I guess people were trying to sue John Travolta, some masseuses and things like that, and then like a couple days later you just never heard the story again. It's like those are big names, big Hollywood names, and yeah, the Hollywood machine when it comes to media, it's extraordinary. What can be told, what gets shut out.
Oh yeah, and because they all know each other, it's a small world, and they're afraid of each other. Okay, I'm not going to tell you specifically which case it was, but one of the cases I mentioned tonight, my agent in California had either off-duty cops or guys dressed up as cops at her front door, kicking her door in, saying, "Give us the evidence, give us the evidence. We know you got the stuff." Wow. You know, and it was one of the cell phones that I was examining.
Wow. Now what's more?
Yeah.
What's scarier? New York mobsters or Hollywood actors?
So far, the Hollywood actors, would say the Hollywood actors, and the other thing that was scary to me, I don't know if it was scary, but it's kind of unusual that I stumbled across, is working with this Sarah Palin case, is the exposure to not just, because you expect the Republican Party to come after you, you know? You expect certain people to come after you. But what I didn't expect was the infiltration in my life of foreign intelligence agencies, you know, from foreign countries. And you'd be surprised, too, because back with the Yippies, we had that as well. Back at the Yippies, there was a guy who was getting paid by the KGB, you know? And there was all kinds of guys who were FBI informants and COINTELPRO guys and New York NYPD informants. And then we're talking about Al Sharpton, too, but he became an informant. So I've been surrounded by this skullduggery my whole life since high school. And let me tell you, dude, I keep a low profile. I try and stay out of stuff. You know, I barely answer my phone anymore. But somehow I keep getting dragged back into it.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you're saying that. I felt like you earlier today when you called me from a number I didn't recognize. I was like, hello? And of course, like I said, you know, I see Nevada. I'm like, that's either a credit card company or maybe a buddy of mine that's in trouble. And it turned out it was you. So I was like, okay, relieving. So it's weird. Like once in a while, I'll get a phone call from a number I have no idea who it is, and I know people all around the country, and so I'm used to weird phone numbers every once in a while. But I usually it's weird. I put the phone away from my head. Like I give myself like 7-8 inches and say hello, because I don't know if the phone's like right next to my ear. It's that person if I don't know him. So.
Well, you know, the caller ID used to say accurate information recovery. That's my cell phone forensics business. But when people see accurate information recovery, no one wants to answer the phone. They think it's a bill collector.
Yeah. I mean,
so I had to get rid of it, man, because no one would take my calls.
Yeah, I would also say stay away from Delaware, because it seems Delaware's biggest, income generator is agencies or credit card companies. So yeah, you see Delaware, Nevada, it's like, okay, who wants a piece of my paycheck now? So, but you've got a fascinating story, fascinating history. I mean, you know, with private investigative work, you know, you're writing your book, your show, just going from East West Coast. If you back on anything, and what would you say would be, you know, like your crowning achievement throughout your career, maybe like the crappiest moment, like, you know, how am I gonna get out of this one?
The crappiest case, you said?
Like what was the highest moment you've had throughout your all in thing with everything you've done, and then the low point of your career, history you've done?
Well, it was to make out what you said, but I can tell you this: a lot of the cases, people come to you when they're in trouble. You know, they come to you, they're facing a prison sentence. You know, they come to you, their spouse is cheating on them. And you know, they come in and they're desperate for help. You know, like it was Shay Tripp when she came to me. You know, she was facing a presidential candidate. You know, she was up against. She was up against the National Enquirer. She had told her story to the National Enquirer. She passed 4 polygraph tests, and then they tried to stiff her on a payment. That's how I got involved in that, because we were suing the National Enquirer.
Oh, okay.
They're involved in a lawsuit against somebody. You know, and so they come to me. You know, and in the beginning, you know, we're helping each other. But what happens is with some of these cases, like for example, the whole Todd Palin, Shirley Tripp, that then escalated into a congressional investigation and a congressional hearing. That dragged on and on, and you know, persons start clashing, and you get sick of hearing this person's voice on the phone. And God bless Shirley Tripp, I love her. I love her like a sister, like a daughter. But if anybody, some of these lawyers you got to deal with, and now there's some, and then the client fires the lawyer. Now you got a new lawyer. You got to bring him up to speed. that kind of stuff when it's dragging on and on and a lot of times the defendant likes it because they're out of jail, they're out on bail, they want it to drag on, you know. But I got to deal with all of it, you know, and bringing up new lawyers up to speed. And I had a case up in Hawaii where this client, she kept firing her lawyer, and every time there's a new lawyer, I got to sit on the phone for 2 hours and explain to this lawyer what's going on and how this client's defense ain't gonna work. Okay, because I can tell you right now that how they caught her, I invented the way they caught her, and there's no way I can get on the stand and help this client. But every time a new lawyer comes along, I'm back on the phone with them. So, you know, that kind of stuff becomes a headache.
You brought up a good point, a question I was going to ask. Has there been a moment where it's like, I don't even know why I'm doing this work. This is all for nothing. Like this person's sunk, you know?
Yeah, you know, but you know, usually not though. You know, a lot of times you can have sympathy with the client, but you're right. Sometimes it's just overwhelming evidence. You do the best you can. Sometimes you get really. We had a boy. Examine his phone based on some theory that the police had tampered with the evidence while it was in the evidence locker. I said, well, how's this going to help us? I don't know, but I just examined the phone anyway. And I guess they were able to negotiate that. It was too embarrassing the DA's office because they gave this guy a sweet deal.
Nice. Yeah, you see, every once in a while you see a case where it's like, this guy's so guilty of what you think, maybe a lot of ways like the OJ verdict, you know. Freedom and prison is a good talker.
And I totally missed what you said.
Oh, I was gonna say, sometimes you see cases where it's like that person's so guilty or that person is so innocent, and the opposite happens. It's like sometimes the difference between guilt and prison and freedom is a really smooth talker, or you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean, you know, and there's a lot. See, there's a whole thing too. Like a lot of people watch these trials on HLN and Court TV, and you know, like the Casey Anthony case, you know, and they think, oh my God, she's so guilty. How did she get away with that? I predicted she was going to get off on that. I predicted early on, because it's not just a matter of being a quick talker and stuff like that. But there was no cause of death. There was no manner of death. It just you need certain ingredients there to get a conviction, and people I think are swayed by emotion. And one thing that really disturbs me with these TV shows, these court TVs and these HLN, and I have all of them on. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the shows. I've had Diane Diamond on my show. I've had Steph Watts on my shows. So we like these guys, and we bring them on the show to talk to them. But what I found is that these shows, when they come to town, because I was here for the OJ trial in Vegas when OJ was being charged with the hotel stuff. They come to town. They take over. They take over every parking space. They take over every bar stool. Okay, I'll tell you that. They got trailers. They got tents. They got microphones. They got lights everywhere, and they can shape the story the way they want, you know. And every lawyer in town who wants to get on TV and talk about this case has to agree with the way these TV heads are talking and the way they're driving the verdict in this trial. And I think guys like this Vinnie Politan has like a jury on every night. And, Joey here, she's guilty of this, she's guilty of that, she's guilty again. They got convicted of everything. Wearing glasses, they're convicting her.
Yeah. The one show I don't like, Nancy Grace. I just can't get past the hashtags. I just can't do it. And did you hear me, Ed? No.
Yeah, I heard you. Yeah, look up her story on Wikipedia, man. She was disbarred. She lost her job.
That's why.
And I tell you, even as extreme as Nancy Grace is, top I hate her. Drew Peterson. He never would have been with the wife, with the murder of his first wife, if not for Steph Watts and Nancy Grace, because they went to interview him in his home, and said, "This guy, we believe him. We believe him. It was an act." And when I came out, the sister of the wife, and she was sitting out there with a box full of evidence, and they talked to her, and no one cared. She had millions.
Yep.
And those cops down there were so corrupt. The whole story with Drew Peterson, man, this guy was a drug cop down there. This guy was in and he was untouchable down. Nancy, like her or not, I don't like her. I want to like him or not, I like him.
Mm-hmm.
Who got this Drew Peterson today? For killing young girls.
Yeah.
The guy was marrying girls when they were 17 years old.
Yeah. Usually if you're that old, you're that age, and that look, and you could get a good-looking chick, I'd say keep her instead of strangling her, or whatever the case may have been, with him in particular. But has there been a story recently, or maybe not a story in particular or a case in particular, but is there ever something that you see that catches your eye that, like, oh my God, I wish I was on that case, like, I got to try to get onto that case, is there just something that, like, I don't know, I'm in the Army. Every once in a while, I'll get into a certain vehicle, and it brings out the little kid in me, the little kid that played G.I. Joes. Is there something that you see once in a while that's like, man, I want to do that. I want to cover that case.
Yeah, and the thing is you can kind of insert yourself into the case.
Mm-hmm.
Like with Zimmerman. I was able to insert myself into that case because when they were looking for him, I remember he set up that website called therealgeorgezimmerman.com.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, because the media wants to locate him. Everyone was looking for him. So now I have contacts in the media. I can sell that information if I can find him. So I went to the website. I found his. I was able to guess what his email address was on that website. Okay, I didn't do any kind of special hacking or anything until we guessed what it was. It was George Zimmerman at therealgeorgezimmerman.com. Okay, and I emailed it, and I saw where he was when he opened up the email. There's no one's house there, right by the courthouse. And the thing is that, but he turned himself in, so I didn't get a payday on that one. But when I see these big cases, a lot of times I'm a little slow to the draw. I don't jump on them as quick as I should, as I did in the old days. But you can kind of insert yourself, get some information, then contact the lawyers and get yourself in on the case.
Now, excuse me, I got to read your book. I want to read your book. I'm actually very excited to go and buy your book tonight after this after the show's over with. For anybody that's without reading the book, which I think you should, I think the listeners out there should get Ed's book. For anybody who's, I don't know, maybe an amateur private investigator, I'm sure there's a couple. What's the difference between a pro and an amateur? And like, have you ever bumped into, like, I don't know, like these, basement private investigators who think they know the job, and it's just like, hey man, you got to do this, you got to do that. What have you ever dealt with, like, true amateurs that want to be professionals?
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but even a lot of these retired cops who get their PI license and pass the test in their state, they can't even run a plate, man, and they can't do basic stuff. Or basic stuff, man. Like, you got to read some of the stuff you see on these PI groups, where they were asking questions. Basic stuff that's really, really easy. That you can sell all day long. So if someone wants to get into the PI business, yeah, buy the book for sure. That's going to help you because it gives you every state licensing requirements and education requirements and stuff like that too. Take a good criminal justice course in the same city where you're going to go apply for your license. Go there and take that test because you'll meet people in the business at a criminal justice course at your local college. I'm not a big fan of these big nationwide PI schools. Although I am looking to find one right now because I'd like to partner up with one and teach a course in email tracing and internet investigations and the kind of stuff that I do.
Okay.
But if you want to get in, if you can find a PI who needs you to do some work, go out there, do the process serving, do those scut jobs, do the surveillance, do the door knocks, do that nonsense, man. Do that stuff for a couple of years until you make all your mistakes and you learn what not to do. Just like I had to do when I was a kid.
Yeah, I did some insurance investigation work a long time ago. That was boring. You sound like you have the exciting stuff. Insurance investigative stuff is boring. Just okay, is this guy gonna not walk with his cane? Is this guy gonna do a jumping jack in his front lawn? Stuff like that. That stuff was draining. That was boring. You sound like you had the exciting shit.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of guys, they want to get into this business because they think that's fascinating. They think that's going to be interesting, and they find out right away that it's not, and they start cutting corners and taking shortcuts. And that's a big problem. So I'm not a big fan of surveillance. I think if you want to find out information on somebody, especially an infidelity investigation, the first step should be trace their email. Give me their email address. We trace them back to online dating sites. Then we can contact them and try and set up they can exchange pictures, or they can call one of my trap lines, one of my phone numbers, and we'll capture their information. And you'd be surprised, you got these guys that calling up a number over and over and over. I really want to meet you. I want to go out with you. My wife's going to be out of town. Let's do it tonight. And you get all this wealth of information from 10,000 miles away for a fraction of the cost, which you hire some guy $250 an hour to follow you around. And when they're going to do the same thing, they're going to those dry cleaners. They're going to work. They're going to dry cleaners. They're going to pizzeria. They're doing the same thing every day.
Yeah. You brought up a good point. The guy's like calling over and over again, sounding lame almost. I wanted to ask you a question quick. With the To Catch a Predator that used to be on Dateline. I don't know if they even do it anymore.
They don't do it anymore.
They don't. Okay. How much work has to go into a show like that and something like that? That just seems like a ton of work. And have you ever done anything, on that side of things with, it would just, disgusting stuff like that. It just, I don't even like talking about it, having a young daughter. But how much work went into that show, do you think? And you know what I mean?
Well, that group, the To Catch a Predator group, that volunteer organization, they have their own problems. I don't even know if they're still around anymore, but they had their own problems where they were caught actually sending child porn to people's emails and then later on reporting them and turning them in for porn that they. Yeah, there's all kinds of scandals, And I tell you, yeah. But yeah, you're right. To put together an operation like that to lure people out, it's a big operation. I think with the cameras and all that stuff. Every kid has been approached by adults online, and it's amazing because these perverts, they are the typical stereotypical guy living in the mother's basement, sitting in the dark on the computer, whacking off the porn. That's what they are. Just like the stereotype is, it's what they really are when you meet them, when you see them. And they got a whole crazy world going on in their heads, and a lot of cops do nothing about this. After you identify them and you turn them in. There's a lot of police departments around the country that do nothing to intervene in these kind of situations.
That's kind of messed up. Like I said, being the father of a young daughter, it's just I'm sure you have. You get the feeling every once in a while you just see somebody and you kind of hone in on them, and maybe it's just parental instincts or I don't know, but it's like that guy's a creeper. I know for a fact that guy's a creeper. If I was to follow you around or log into your computer, I'd see a lot of stuff that would probably send you to jail for a long, long time.
Yeah, and the odds are much higher that your kid is going to run into a problem with someone they know in their life, a teacher, a coach, a neighbor, an uncle, than they are going to be lured someplace on the internet. They've done the statistics. There's much less people being lured over the internet to meet with a molester than still happens, in their church or their school or their clubs. That's where they're meeting these people. And these guys, they gravitate to places. They work at parks. They work at Chuck E. Cheese. They work at Disneyland. They know what they're doing. And you know what, too, man? For somehow they're able to organize with each other and communicate with each other, these perverts, and meet up with each other. I don't know. That's always fascinated me. How do two serial killers get together and start going out and killing together? How do two rapists go out and together and start raping together? How do two pedophiles get together and start, trading back and forth? How does that conversation start? You're sitting around, me and you sitting around talking about beer, talking about the Yankees. Yeah. And the next thing, hey, you want to go rape somebody? What the heck? What code words am I missing?
Yeah, sometimes it's hard enough to talk. So, you have you have a few with your buddies, you know, it's sometimes it's hard to be like, hey man, let's order a pizza. Nah, I don't feel like pizza. Yeah, how do you exactly how do two serial killers link up or rapists, whatever the case may be? That's hopefully I never find out. Hopefully I'm never at a bar where I hear two serial killers like, hey man, let's get together. What do you like? Guys with tattoos that are thin, and I'm gonna be over in the corner like, yeah, you know, no, thanks, I'm out of here. I don't want to be a part of your fantasy. So, before we wrap things up here, because one, I'd like to send you an invitation out. Email within a couple. You'll be an awesome guest from co-host.
Yeah, I heard you say you want to send an invitation. I would definitely accept it, and I love talking to you. You're a great guy. Thank you.
Yeah, and two, good way to represent Staten Island. That's 2 weeks in a row. I've had a strong guest from Staten Island. But Ed, I want to say thank you for being on, and if you can hear me and make out what I'm saying, to give you the opportunity to plug your next your upcoming radio show, and then can tell people how to get it. My upcoming
show on the oh yeah, he's a limo driver. He does tours, time tours up in San Francisco there with everything. Son of Sam, not Son of Sam, but the Charlie Manson and the Zebra Killers and the Zodiac Killer and Patty Hearst and even Colonel Aquino, the head of the Temple of Set. All that kind of stuff we're going to be getting into. He's a fascinating guy. After that, we have Hank Harrison, the father of Courtney Love. You know, he says his daughter killed Kurt Cobain. Fascinating guy. Can't wait to talk to him. We got May Payne coming up. We have another guy coming up who's wrote a book about the whole Cotton Club murders with Robert Evans and Roy Raden and all that drug dealing that went on and the murders and stuff like that. Larry Flint's bodyguards killed Roy Raden, shot him in the head 13 times on Friday the 13th. So we got some fascinating shows coming up, my friend.
That sounds awesome. I am now officially a fan of your show. I like all the stories you talked about with San Fran. I'm fascinated with Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain and that whole story. And yeah, I definitely got a new fan from this show. I don't know if you could hear me, but I want to say.
Yeah, no,
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to say thanks for being on. You made me a fan of your show. I can't wait to listen to it, and I'm going to order your book. And I'm going to throw links up on our Facebook page, on Tactical 16's Facebook page for all your stuff you got there coming out, Ed. Damn.
Thank you very much, bud. I'll let you know because I can hardly hear you.
Okay, man.
Thank you, man. I had a great time.
Not a problem. Thank you. I had a blast, man. Take care of yourself. That was... Oh, man, I'm so freaking aggravated. I don't know. That was Ed Opperman. Got to check his book out. Just really freaking aggravates me. I hate having technical issues like this. It really freaking annoys me. I tell you that much. But I don't know if people can hear me at all. This is just been really annoying with the breaking up of the show. I don't know. It pisses me off. This is really aggravating. You get a good guy, bless his heart, came on short notice, was really good. And I have to get him on Mass with Robin Silent J, and I think he's going to fit in quite well on Cinemass with Robin Silent J, which you can listen to every Sunday night from 10 to midnight Eastern Pacific time. Listen, Google Ed Opperman. That's Ed Opperman. I'm going to throw some of his links up on the page. A guy was a thrill to have on. Knowledgeable people. I can't stand when I have a guest on that has a one-track mind. I wrote a book about sunshine, so I'm just going to talk about sunshine. It's like, no, I want to listen. I want to talk about more stuff besides sunshine. Let's talk about clouds and snow and stuff like that. I want sunshine. It's like, no, I can't stand those. The one track. When I get somebody like Ed on the show, it's just we could talk about past, we could talk about now, we could talk about the future, we could talk about the occasional conspiracy theory and historical story and stuff like that. I like that. You should. Okay. I'm very excited, and I lost the cap to my pen, and now I got lead everywhere. And now talk about fucking ADD ending to this damn show. But man, am I thoroughly disappointed in Comcast. Comcast, you stink. You stink bad. You suck. I don't want you on. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, I got to do something now. So, but anyway. Hey, listen, folks, I get going. I wanted to do something with. You ever note? Yeah. Who is this person? Do I know you? I can't stand getting requests on Facebook from people I don't know, or I haven't associated with. It's just, it kind of creeps me out in a way. Like, Facebook is different than Twitter. Twitter, I barely know anybody on my Twitter page. My list I'm following. Or Facebook, on the other hand, I like to keep it to people I know, or friends of the show, or guests of the show. That's where I like to. Okay, hold on here. All right. Okay, there we go. Okay, I wanted to do something on the show, so here we go. No, what the hell is this? Oh, somebody's being funny. Yeah, I'm sorry, everybody. I had to do something before the show ended. What I was going to say was, now, you get people that are friends with you on Facebook. You know them. They're your friends. They're your coworkers. They're your girlfriend's friends or your boyfriend's friends. That you grew up with, that you haven't been in contact with, and that's okay. That's fine. Twitter, on the other hand, famous people, you don't have any idea who they are, and things of that nature, and the occasional person I don't have too many friends on Twitter that I know. They're mostly strangers that have liked a tweet, so they follow me, or likewise. But that's really about it. So when you get one on Facebook, it's just out of the blue, who in the hell are you? Like, I don't know you. Want me to be your friend? I said, do I know you? How should I know you? Why should I know you? Why should I click on you? I got people that I know that have made requests on Facebook. I didn't give them the time of day. No, I don't want to be your friend. No. I'm not gonna be your friend. I'm be 35 years old playing little kid games. I'm not gonna be your friend. No. So I don't know. It just struck me as odd that I just got a friend request on Facebook, and I don't know who the hell this person is. But I tell you one thing, I love what the F facts on Twitter, and this is what I wanted to talk about. Their name is what the fuck facts. What the F facts. They got 4.5 million followers, and I love their stuff. I read it throughout the day. And so that's what I'm gonna close the show with, a couple of what the F facts, and then we'll close the show. What the F facts. Go to them and follow them on Twitter. They don't need me to help them get followers, but I just want to give them some respect by sending people their way if you don't know who they are. Fact number 1: a group of men fought in the American Revolution and lived to see the Civil War end. Another fact: the world's largest family consists of one husband, 39 wives, 94 children, and 33 grandchildren. That's not a what the F fact. That's a what the F is this guy doing? Holy, are you serious? Oh. Oh. Piss off. The world's largest family. One husband, 39 wives, 94 children, and 33 grandchildren. That guy should be a Zen master. He don't need to have the largest family in the world. He needs to tell everybody. You know how generation cycles that guy goes through? 39 wives, 94 children, 33 grandchildren. The grandkids look young, but 39 wives? Who the hell where's this guy from? Where is this guy from? Is this guy Indian or Chinese? I don't know. He's Asian of some sorts. Dude, that's insane. I wouldn't want to do that. Hell no. Next fact. In 39 out of 50 states, the highest paid state employee is either a football coach or a basketball coach. I did know that, except for Vermont. It's a hockey coach. That's disgusting. States and it got a lot of problems, all right? Let's just run down a list of problems. Racial issues, dietary issues, educational issues, hatred, and the perceived opinion of, I'd say, at least 40 other states, because I'm not going to include Mississippi, West, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, South Carolina, because you're just as effed up, in my humble opinion. My humble opinion is pretty damn amazing. Mississippi is effed up. I'm sorry. Alabama. We were talking about Alabama. Alabama, you need to make that brings positive change to your state. Maybe your educational system. Maybe nutritional issues. There are a bunch of obese, grotesque individuals down there that don't have a healthy diet. Okay, maybe health and welfare, because I think you're dirty. Education. On college football. It hasn't done anything for you. What are people going to say? Nobody would care about Alabama. Maybe nobody cares about Alabama because of college football, because it hasn't really done a whole lot for you. You've won a couple national championships, right? And you're the masters of the SEC. What has that done for you? The only state you could go hot on a poo-poo is Mississippi. Don't even have the college football. Nobody cares about Ole Miss or Mississippi State. What do they got? I don't even know what the hell Mississippi has. What do they have? They have Gulfport. That's really about it. You guys got nothing else. Mississippi and Alabama team up together. Stop paying your college football coaches so much money and get your damn head out of your ass, because you guys stink. All right? I'm done with you. Done with that fun fact. 15 of the most... no. During his youth, Genghis Khan killed his half-brother, Bektir, for not sharing food. I think I've heard that before. Yeah. The Empire State Building has its own postal code. Yes, I didn't know that. Brazilian law requires every hotel to provide condoms to every guest. Do they provide the activities to use with those condoms? That's what I want to know. Because what about if you're a lonely man spending the night in a hotel in Brazil? They're going to give you condoms. What is that? That's just a reminder that you suck? Yeah, Let's see. A couple more. DMX has fathered 12 children and filed for bankruptcy because of child support payments. Yep, maybe he should have went to Brazil and lived in a hotel. That's what I would say. Warren Buffett made $37 million each day in 2013. I bet you $10 he doesn't do that in 2023. Actually, I bet you $1,000 he doesn't do that in 2023. Let's see. Redheads never turn gray? Really? I didn't know that. Redheads never turn gray? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you have to have a soul to have gray hair. I don't know. The happiest countries in the world also have the highest suicide rate. I don't know. Maybe I do now. Let's see a couple more facts and then we'll get going. The word dinner comes from the French word dîner, which means breakfast. Again, America, we effed up. Right-handed people tend to chew food on the right side, while left-handed people tend to chew food on the left side. Makes sense. And let's see. Let's end this. Oh, cockroaches can get lonely and even become ill if they are left alone for too long. So, if you want to kill cockroaches and make them suffer, segregate them. All right, put them in solitary confinement, and that's how you destroy the cockroach. All right. So do that. If you want to get rid of the cockroaches that you have in your house, well, one, clean your damn house up, and two, just segregate them. Put one in the kitchen, put one in the bathroom, put one in the dining room, and just chill out in the living room, and they'll get lonely, and they will die. All right? And is there anything else I want to tell you? No. Oh, and to scale, Mario has a 27-foot vertical jump, so white men really can jump. And who would have thought the person that would lead white men into jumping highest is a fat, pudgy Italian dude? I've known quite a few fat, pudgy Italian dudes. They can't jump. Mario, you're a liar. All right? And if you want to get more facts like that, go to What the F Facts on Twitter, and you can do that. Listen, I'm Silent J. I'm leaving. got some good guests coming up on this show. We got some good guests coming up on Center Mass with Rob and Silent J, 10 to midnight Eastern Standard Time, 7 to 9 Pacific on vetsonmedia.com. But I'm not going to tell you. Why should I tell you? If I tell you who's on next week and you don't like him or her, you're not going to tune in. I'm not shooting myself in the foot. You're going to come on and listen every week. And if you don't like the guest or if you don't like me, then you can go away. But at least you're going to get on. I'm going to get you as a number. I'm doing it on the ninja style, okay? So I'm going to go. I will talk to you guys fairly soon, Sunday night, Center Mass with Rob and Silent J. And if you don't listen then, because you're puss, I don't want to stay up that late, you know what? I'll talk to you next week here on Tactical 16 Radio with Silent J. That's me on Tactical 16 Radio with my alias, with my stage name, with my AKA, okay? So go to tactical16.com. That's www.tactical16.com. That's the number 16. Go buy a book. You know what? I think a couple of our authors are going to go on some radio tour fairly soon. I think I'm going to book Chris and Justin on some radio shows. And then vetsonmedia.com. Go to vetsonmedia.com. That's www.vetsonmedia.com. And just listen to all the cool kick-ass shows, okay? There's a new show coming out. That show, I think it's called This Show or That Show. I don't know. If you want to find out what that show is really called, I think it's That Show. If you want to find out what the show is really called, go to vetsonmedia.com. Again, I'm not going to tell you. If I tell you, you'll be like, I don't like that show, so I'm not going to listen to that show. But if I don't tell you the show, you're going to have to find out for yourself, and then we'll get you as a number. All right? I am Silent J. This is my show, Tactical 16 Radio, with my alias, and I will see you guys and girls next week. Okay? I'll talk to you later, kiddies. You know.
For my family, for my friends, for those that we lost our sight. This is a message, this is for you. Never forget the Lower East Side Club. For my family, for my friends, for those that we lost our sight. This is a message, this is for you.